Good evening. I'm Laura Vookles, chair of the Curatorial Department at the Hudson River Museum, and I'm standing here in Border Cantos, Sonic Border, a wonderful exhibition organized by Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art and sponsored by Art Bridges. The exhibition features photographs by Richard Misrach taken along the entire U.S.-Mexico border, as well as instruments made by Guillermo Galindo from artifacts collected at the border. There are 10 photographs in the exhibition and 8 instruments, including this wonderful soundscape that echoes the forms in some of the photographs. Guillermo Galindo was making instruments with items found at the border for many years before he met Richard Misrach. Guillermo believes the objects people have discarded retain some essence of their being, which he can bring out by making them into musical instruments, by giving them a voice. You can see pages from a book decoupaged all along the valleys. It's actually a Bible found at the border, which was inscribed to a girl. We've been hearing a lot about the border and the wall between the U.S. and Mexico in the news over the last few years. But the wall has been under construction for 25 years. 10 years ago, Richard Misrach photographed this section of the wall near Los Indios, Texas. He came back years later, and it was still just a single piece of wall. But now somebody had planted grass around it for no apparent reason. It raises lots of questions. Clearly, people have been here tending this small piece of landscaping. Whether it's the U.S. government or someone making an artistic statement, we don't know. Some of Richard's simplest images are actually sinister. In this photograph taken near Calexico, California, you see an area where the Border Patrol has smoothed out the sand by dragging linked tires behind a truck. This practice is called cutting for sign. When the surface is clear, new footsteps are easily tracked. For this reason, many people cross these areas with large pieces of foam or carpet tied to their shoes to avoid leaving prints. Richard says the discarded pads are a common sight. Richard Misrach started photographing the desert landscapes in the American Southwest in the late 1970s, and especially since 2004 has focused his attention all along the border. One of the most haunting sights he came across was this scene near Jacumba, California, with figures he calls effigies. They're made of cross sticks dressed in people's shirts and pants. He wondered if they were created as some type of warning for people trying to cross the border, but was it meant to be helpful or threatening? Perhaps they were erected because something tragic happened here. It's a mystery, and that's part of what makes them so evocative. Richard did not disturb this scene, but has brought back discarded clothing from the border, and Guillermo used some in his instruments, most dramatically in one he also called Effigy. For Effigy, Guillermo used the shape of the figures that Richard saw near Jacumba and clothing collected from other border locations. It's very powerful when you come across this sculpture in the gallery. You really have a sense of a person standing in front of you, since it's life-size and wearing clothing you know belonged to someone making this hard journey. The instrument has strings in a cross shape on the chest and stretched between the raised arms. Guillermo plucks the strings or plays them with a bow, and also strikes the wood portion like a gong. As we've seen, some of Guillermo's instruments are elaborate and intricate. Others, like these, are simple bottles and jugs which have been found at the border. Water is so essential to people who are making this arduous journey. It's a matter of life and death. And if you listen to the musical score, you'll hear a familiar sound we've all made, blowing across the top of a Coca-Cola bottle. The oldest photograph in the exhibition is this picture from 2004 of a water station in the desert. Richard Misrach came across this barrel with a flag and found out later that humanitarians travel far out into the most desolate areas of the border crossing and leave these jugs for people who are traveling. Sadly, he also learned that some people travel out into the desert, either Border Patrol guards or other individuals, and sometimes destroy them and leave the flags there so that people don't realize the water is gone. The artists hope that this exhibition helps people realize the real human element and pathos of the border situation. It's not just an abstract concept. There's a real human story there that is a story about real people, and that is something that we should all really care deeply about.